You're listening to the Pittsburgh Piledriver.
What the hell is that?
Podcast.
Hey everybody, it's Caillou. Oh wait, no, it's Cuckoo. Nope, it's Cthulhu. Wait, it's Chunky Magoo. Well, if only you knew what we were talking about, then you'd be clued in, but you're not because you're a schmuck. You listen to an idiot on a podcast, and that idiot is Beef, and he's an idiot, and I'll tell you why. Because draped around his waist is nothing more than a girdle. Because he's not wearing any gold. That's returned to the throne where it belongs, adorned atop the shrine of the Mad King. Suck it easy, fucktard. I'm the champ again. And it's P3 time. And it's time to talk about wrestling. And I don't care if you're tuning in. And the only good thing about this show is Poot. And he's not even the champ because there is no justice in this world. Even as the Mad King, I feel it is my responsibility to be an advocate for the longest reigning, longest defending, the conqueror, Poot the Bard Baby. So eat a dick, Beef. He's on the show. Poot the Bard Baby Slacks. He's on the show. The Mad King's on the show. Tiger Bomb Tom is off tripoding around town. We don't know where he is. Sometimes he gets lost. He's not here. But in any case, wasn't there some sort of spooky showcase that happened earlier this week that you need to talk about because it was utterly amazing?
I'm sorry, I'm losing my mind over Poot Baby Slacks.
Oh, what happened?
Sometimes I feel like we're listening to a verbal stroke happening.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Oh yeah.
Every moment that I open my mouth on this podcast, my brain sends a clot swiftly to a vein hidden somewhere within my terrible body.
Oh my lord, what a joy! If I may, I know he gave a round introduction, but it would not behoove me if I didn't. It wouldn't. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Poot the Bard, and
Baby
I am the reciprocating advocate for your reigning, defending, undisputed cruiserweight champion, the mad champ, Alec Ransom, and his baby dick. I wasn't supposed to say that part. It was supposed to be edited out. And
now listen, first off, A, how do you know? B, stop texting Tara. And C, I thought that was a strict confidence between Beef and I. I don't know why you had to be involved in this.
I love it. No, joking aside, sponsors, Casual Gaming Dad and his tripod, and Sean Tischler and IWC. Go check them out. Now,
we don't know what Sean Tischler's packing. It could be a tripod. Who knows?
You know what?
I just want to say that Alec Ransom, the Mad King, got 2 matches wrong the entire month of October. One of which was the Gargano match that we all got wrong last night. So that's pretty fucking impressive. Like normally my score on any month, an 11-4-1 record would net you that belt. But man, you were throwing heaters this month, Ransom. So kudos to you.
And the kicker of it all, of the 3 of us here, who watches wrestling the least?
Ding, ding, ding! That's the Mad Champ.
It's the madness of the champ. That's just how he do. But that aside, you mentioned...
It's probably why I won the damn thing, because you two watched this garbage that kills more brain cells than meth on a regular basis. And I don't watch it. Therefore, I haven't become a slack-jawed, drooling moron. Because that's what pro wrestling these days does to you.
Except for AEW and NXT this past week, because NXT delivered, man. I'm going to tell you something. I was sold.
Halloween Havoc.
I was sold before, but I am now even more sold on Cameron Grimes. He's going to the moon. Oh my God, he's a treasure. He's a treasure, an absolute treasure. I can't say enough about how, like, imagine anybody else. And I know I'm jumping the gun on the order of events for Halloween Havoc here, but
screw it, jump it.
There were two highlights of this event for me, honestly. Number one was Cameron Grimes and his performance. Number two, Shotzi Blackheart. That's it, just Shotzi Blackheart.
Just like to stare at her, don't you?
She's so pretty.
Well,
she's so pretty.
I think top to bottom, man. Like, and I know that this literally just came out of my mouth last week, and you guys are all like, "You say that all the time," and I'm like, "No, I don't." This may have been the show of the year, for NXT. The weekly series. I mean, honestly, this may be up there with some of the takeovers. It was a very good, well put together show, top to bottom.
Can I ask you a question?
You may.
Because just off of what you said there, it was a very good show, top to bottom. Potentially, a show of the year?
Yeah, I would say of their weekly shows, this was the best one they've done all year.
It's an event that most people remember fondly from the WCW days in Halloween Havoc.
Mm-hmm.
Why was this a weekly episodic show? Why was this not presented as a special event, as a takeover?
I think because they treat it like anything that's kind of branded WCW, short of War Games, stuff that kind of came out of the mind of WCW. I think they kind of treat as, I hate to say it, kind of second class, and you know, it's kind of like that in Starrcade. You know how they kind of have the muckety muck on Starrcade? Starrcade, the first one was a house show, for God's sake.
So was the second one. They only showed like 2 matches from the second one.
And Starrcade was for a long was WCW's like big show back in the day.
Yeah. Yep, that is the one, man.
So I have to, before you guys get into the review, I have to ask the question. It has to be posed. Is the reason this is a weekly free on TV show because it was an old WCW original pay-per-view and they want to give the finger to it, be like, hey, we're going to put it on, but we're going to put it on as a free TV show? It doesn't merit being on a WWE network pay-per-view type level. Is that what it is, or is there some other reason? Because I have to honestly say, after reading the reviews, hearing you guys rave and rant about it, how good the card was, how good the matches were, just top to bottom, everything being great, why on earth was this not featured as a pay-per-view event, as a takeover? Why on earth was it not? I
will answer that question here after I answer another side question that's very quick to answer. Who doesn't have their keys muted on their phone?
Oh, my phone's in my pocket.
Mute your keys on your phone, numbnuts. I can hear them through the recording. So the reason I think that they put it on there, number one, is to give them a honestly think part of it was to give them a bolster for the quote-unquote Wednesday Night War against AEW, because AEW's leading up to their next show, up to Full Gear. And also, I think it was just because... I don't know. I think they just wanted to pull the trigger on it, and plus it's Halloween this weekend. You know, like they know people are gonna want to go out. They're gonna want to party. They're not gonna want to sit at home on a Saturday night and watch wrestling. Like I know.
Couldn't you have done it on a Sunday? There's no WWE pay-per-view this Sunday.
They historically, short of whenever they do even when they do a co-one, most of the NXTs are the night before.
No, not anymore.
But what I'm saying is that
they've been doing it on Sunday nights. So the reason, so Ransom, to answer your question, it's fourfold. First and foremost, like Pooch said, yes, it it gives them a big hullabaloo, like up against AEW. They did it with the Great American Bash too. 2 is so that they can dangle properties that Dusty Rhodes had a high fashion in coming up with directly in front of Cody and say, haha, look what we got. You don't have it. We do. 3 is because they want everybody to remember who won the war. It wasn't WCW. It was WWE. And they think so less of the product that WCW put on that they gave some of the best pay-per-views that WCW had to the quote-unquote inferior brand. And 4, as Poot mentioned as well, we are leading up to Full Gear, and the timing really is the big thing. So NXT's this year, they went out and they did a whole bunch of NXTs on Sundays. They still have a few, the Saturday before the event. I think they did for WrestleMania. They were going to for WrestleMania, but they got cut. They did for SummerSlam. I don't think they're doing it for Survivor Series. I think it's the weekend after Survivor Series. So this year, when the schedule ruled out, Triple H said that he wanted to make NXT its own thing and not really kind of piggyback off of the weekends that WWE was doing. When they rolled that out, obviously, when they rolled out the schedule, obviously, nobody knew where we'd be in October of 2020.
Speaking of strokes, what was that giant pause?
There was a giant pause.
My computer's a time hole. Anyway, go on.
This is going to be good.
Yeah, I'm excited about this recording already. My point is that when they laid out the schedule in fucking December of last year, and Triple H was like, "Well, I want to make NXT as kind of its own thing," to kind of sort of be like, "Hey, AEW, we're our own brand too. Stick it." No one could have foresaw where we were, and whenever you throw things out, so. Bottom line is, I think that this was something that was adapted well after the fact. I think that they said, okay, here are our NXT Sunday night pay-per-views. Boom, 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 boom. Here are the Saturday nights that we're going to do. Boom, boom. And then as the year went along, someone's like, oh, hey, we should do Halloween Havoc. And Triple H is like, hell yeah, we should do Halloween Havoc. And that's what happened last night.
Okay. All right. That makes sense.
So you're saying, I mean, it does make sense. But the cool thing about NXT that even when something is like a half afterthought, like where it's like, hey, we should also do this. Oh yeah, that'll be cool. Throw it in there. You know what I mean?
Afterthought?
Yeah. Well, it's not an afterthought because like it's like somewhat they were sitting around pitching like, this is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to do. Hey, why don't we throw this in there too? Oh yeah, that'll be really cool. Throw that in there too. Like an afterthought would have been like, oh yeah, it's Halloween. Just put something together. But I mean, as far as storylines go, at least for the Cameron Grimes, Dexter Lumis thing, like that, yeah, it wasn't a long build, but it made sense. And like, I didn't really imagine Dexter Lumis in a setting of like a haunted kitchen. I didn't imagine him in that scenario, but he made it work. Like,
was that a cinematic match?
Yeah, partially.
It was well done.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Beef, let's start at the top of the event. Let's run it down because it was really, really good.
So I think first and foremost, the presentation like hooked me right in. One of my favorite things outside of Spin the Wheel, Make the Deal about Halloween Havoc was always the crazy fucking sets. And I think that NXT like dug into enough of that to really satiate me. They had a couple different like spooky graveyard sets. They had, the electric chair with Shotzi in it. They had the wheel.
They had the giant blow up pumpkin.
Oh yeah, my favorite thing was the fucking demon on the entranceway. The blue Halloween Havoc demon. You could see his hands like twiddling the whole fucking night. But like when it opened up, there was a stupid big inflatable pumpkin. then I said to myself, man, some heel just absolutely needs to come out there and just destroy it. And fucking right off the bat, Johnny Gargano was like, "Yep, I'll be the guy."
And he just cut a big dumb hole in it.
Yep, it was. So the presentation was perfect. I think Shotzi. So Shotzi doesn't have a huge range. I don't think. I think she's decent in the ring, and I think that she's a niche character on the mic. But I think that for what she did last night, she was perfect at it.
Well, apparently, I was going to say, didn't Tom mention it, or I heard somewhere that, like, back in, I think when she was on the indies, and, like, she would, like, have those late night horror shows. She would, like, host stuff like that.
Whoa, nice.
Yeah.
So it was in the wheelhouse. Very, very, very much in the spirit of Elvira.
Yeah.
So,
but much better.
Yeah, I mean, easy, just don't lose
back
in the music moment. You own it. So Gargano versus Priest was way better than I thought it would be. Anytime you have a gimmick match, it could run the gauntlet from, well, that was okay, to like, oh boy, what a fucking match. So this, I think, was on the what a fucking match side of the scale. I was impressed that they didn't rush the match. They gave it like a good 25-30 minutes. It was a really good match between two guys who I think knew that they could do that. I love the twist at the end with Ghostface coming in and shanking Priest. I think that's. I thought for sure it was Ciampa. And I still kind of do, but I'm not 100% on that. But no,
I don't mean to break your analytical train here, but let's not beleaguer the fact. Remember how we said that old Punishment Martinez or Damian Priest was, when he first came in, he didn't feel comfortable in his skin.
Yes.
And
that's
now
not the case anymore.
Oh, dude, last night, well, I mean, he had a guitar player play him in. And like,
Andy, who it was?
I he looked really familiar. At first I thought it was the guitarist for
Black Sabbath.
No,
Nope.
oh Jesus, no.
Metallica.
Good talk. Keep going.
No, fucking figure it out.
Figure it out.
I'm trying to find who it was, but everyone's just saying a guitarist, and I'm like, that guy looks really familiar. But the whole thing was that along with that, like, Priest came out and he was just like, he felt big deal. He felt big time. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, he just, like, he's fitting into that character. And I thought, with all the pomp and circumstance and how amped he was for this, I was like, oh, it's dead certain he's going to win. You know what I mean? Like, I just like that fact. I just wanted to point that out, that more and more every single week, Damian Priest is really sitting in his wheelhouse a lot better.
Oh, and to that point, I think that we're going to see him in the main event sooner than later. We may see him jump the main event altogether and head to the main roster. That wouldn't shock me too awful much. I'm not saying anytime soon, but I'm saying before he gets an honest-to-God run, because he's a guy that I think Vince will absolutely swoon over. A big dude that can move, that's got a great character. You don't get those every day. So, yeah, you're 100% right. I really dig what he's doing right now. I would love to see it. So I'm really hoping that Finn comes back and then, like, Cross is, like, hot on his trail and just demolishes Finn, just destroys Finn. And then it, goes to a reign for Cross with, like, challengers like Damian Priest. I think that would make a lot of sense to the dude. Yeah. He's, regardless, he's money. So they need to capitalize on him now. The Rhea Ripley Raquel Gonzalez match was very, very good. So I don't really know Raquel Gonzalez all that well. I know that she's a big, quote unquote big guy. That she has that same skill set. the shoulder blocks, the power bombs, the big boots, your typical big man arsenal. And I love Raquel Gonzalez's look. I think that she's a very credible person, but like when it's up against Rhea Ripley, I'm like, oh man, like of course they're gonna make Rhea Ripley look like gold. But I'll tell you, those two had a great back and forth match, and Raquel Gonzalez really showed me that she's got some chops in the ring. I'm excited to see what the future holds for her.
I thought it was really cool to see like two women who are more powerhouses go. Like really see like two people. It felt like a mirror match, like for their builds and everything like that. It was just, and also because they're both obviously Rhea Ripley more so. They're both competent in-ring, talents. I enjoy, like, normally, like, women's matches, and this is not meant to sound chauvinistic or anything, but most of the time I go, like, that was good. And it was just kind of like, all right. But both of the ones tonight made me go, damn, that was good. Like, and it's great to see Rhea Ripley back, and it is nice to kind of see someone actually take her to task.
I agree. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I honestly, I think that the best thing for NXT is to have Rhea Ripley as the champion, because as glowingly as Triple H spoke about her, I know that she's not long for the NXT roster. So they need to squeeze as much as they can out of Ripley while they have her.
Absolutely.
Good.
Well, after that match, we had more of the camera. No, or was it before that match? We had the introduction to Cameron Grimes and
what
his
did
match.
He say? He said something that absolutely slayed me.
Oh, it was
to you guys.
He said he was begging off Regal to not have him got there, and Regal was delivering his stuff so creepy, like almost like death leading someone into the afterlife. He was like, "Come on, Cameron, let's go, Cameron. Come on,
That's
Cameron."
even scarier than the bar mitzvah triangle.
Oh, I was getting the bar. He's like, this is scarier than the bar mitzvah triangle, and I was just like, he plays that character to a friggin' T. It's perfect.
He jumped in the back of the van. He's like, I hate rednecks, and I'm like, oh, that's fucking great. The cameo from Michael Hayes didn't hurt. Like, that was a little fun. Like,
Oh, fast hot tag trivia. What does the PS in Michael P.S. Hayes stand for?
Pretty sexy.
There you go.
Yeah. So neat little thing from him with the back of the van. I mean, so I think that this was a really good cinematic match in that they committed to it, and they're like, all right, like so. Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa's cinematic match got kind of mixed reviews because they tried to make it a match that was also cinematic. With this, it definitely felt like, okay, we're going for more of a cinema feel here, and they took it and they ran with it, and it worked.
I think that's what you have to do with cinematic matches, though.
Yes.
And if you can have a cinematic match, you have to have it. It has to be more, like you said, Beef. It's got to be more cinema than wrestling.
And that's a point. And this is kind of proof positive to Beef's, statement that, like, if it is committed to and it is okay, this is a cinematic match. Period. Like, think of the ones that we like. This one was good. The Boneyard match was good.
Mm-hmm.
I would
Stadium Stampede.
Pardon?
Stadium Stampede.
And I would even go so far as to say the Money in the Bank.
Those are okay. I think my favorite.
I was less impressed with Money in the Bank.
I thought they were fun, and I thought they were ridiculous, and I enjoyed it. I think
my favorite so far has been still the Viking Raiders versus the
yes,
the Street Profits.
You mean the Viking Profits?
Yes, because they 100% went all in, and this match was probably almost as good. I like that they did the classic horror cliche of the to be continued.
Oh yeah,
and then They finished it off in the ring. There was so much good about those like 3 collective segments.
The part in there that made me realize, and it made it feel kind of like Fleischer cartoony to me. I think it's Fleischer or Fleischman. You know, the old black and white like Bosco cartoons, the tube arm cartoons. The thing that made it give a very hint of a vibe to that to me, and it also made me realize anyone but Cameron Grimes couldn't have pulled this off. He's terrified. He's running through this dilapidated house in a swamp. He's, going through and he's yelling at Dexter Lumis. He's like, Dexter, I'm coming. You're going to have to deal with Cameron Grimes. Like he's going through and he's terrified. He's running. He goes into a bathroom, shuts the door, sees the silhouette of a woman taking a shower, and goes from terrified for his life immediately to, didn't know Dexter had a sister. Taking off his vest, takes off his hat, and he goes, all right, baby, move over. Cameron's a little dirty. Cameron's going, and he opens up the curtain, and it's like like the Ring style demon, kind of thing. And he goes immediately back to panic. The only way it could have been more like a good cartoon thing is if his eyes bugged out of his head. Like, it was hilarious. And also Dexter Lumis, doing his thing. Just that looming presence, the like being up in the tree as Cameron's walking into the house and he's just doesn't move. And then he just like leans forward a little bit and like rubs the tree. Just like, yes, go inside. Like, it's so good.
Let me ask you this, because I really dig Loomis. I like what he does in the ring. I love the character. But this is another one of those guys who I think has a very low ceiling character-wise. Because I don't see a guy like that being an NXT champion short of like a monster heel turn, which, again, the character is kind of suited for that. But as it stands, I like him, but I can see how the gimmick will get stale quickly.
Well, that's the thing, is that you have to give it room to evolve. And like right now, it's very in its proto phase, where it's like, okay, we're getting the Stranger Things music. He plays the character immaculately. Like he works it into his style in the ring. His finisher, that clutch, the way he delivers it, and he like whispers shh to them and stuff like that. It works. I could see them taking it in a more like serious way. And also, we really haven't heard him cut a shit ton of promos. If they let him,
really. I don't think he's ever spoken.
I think he did once, but they need to. What I'd like to see, and I think would be fun, if they let him have the reins and he's creative enough to do like really unsettling, uncomfortable, creepy things with it. Put him in a program, and I know this will sound nuts to you. Put him in a program with a Karrion Kross and the mind game thing.
Raping of a dish.
Like, have like that mind game thing between the two of them. Like, Karrion Kross starts coming after him, cutting those close-up promos and bringing out the hourglass and stuff. Have Lumis not shaken, and then have him turn it around on Karrion Kross, and like have like a battle of the mind games. You know what I mean?
I could see that. I could definitely see that. I like, by the way, his music, his newer music. It's like a variation on his original theme.
Yeah.
It's like tailing away from this, because when he first debuted, and it was like straight up the Stranger Things song, like pretty fucking close. And I was like, that's cool and all, but like that's gonna get, that's gonna be a problem sooner than later. And I like that they're kind of evolving from that. So yeah, that was, good cinematic matches are tough, but I would say that that's a good cinematic match. So I'll throw this in here before we talk about the main event. Pat McAfee did his best promo work, I think, that he's done so far last night.
How much of that do you think was scripted?
None, because Pat's a guy who can talk. He has a podcast.
True.
He's a super entertaining fella. Like anytime that we played the Colts, I'd always watch him on the sideline to see what he was doing, to see his fucking reactions, because he's a fucking caricature himself. So like, he's an entertaining fella. So like, I think it just took him a minute to get comfortable in his role as a heel, but now I think he's rolling with it. Him and Lorgan and Birch looked fucking sharp as a unit, and the returning Pete Dunne, I think we all saw from a mile away, pulling the old Seth Rollins. And hitting Kyle O'Reilly in the back with the chair.
Well, and it's because O'Reilly sold it as like he was surprised as well, but then he turned and looked at McAfee and was like, "Oh, you're boned now, buddy." You know.
And Pete Dunne, I think he's just used the entire pandemic to fucking cut weight.
Yep.
And fucking lift weights, man, because Pete Dunne always looked like he had like a little bit of baby fat on him. That was always, and that, he looked like he was a dude who could pull it off.
It's the bruiserweight thing. It's like, it's kind of like a small hoss.
Right. Now he looks fucking chiseled. He looks made out of stone. The minute that his music hits, I got excited, and then I saw him, and I'm like, holy fuck.
Yeah.
Pete Dunne's been putting in some gym time. He looks fucking stacked. Very obviously they're setting up for War Games between Undisputed Era and that quartet. Sad Rich Holland's not going to be involved because it sucks. It's bad timing. Obviously, Pete Dunne took Rich Holland's spot, but
what kind of sucks too is that I kind of wish they would have kept Ridge Holland, because at first I was like, oh, that's cool. They're going to make McAfee, hey, these guys injured, he got injured, but and be like, hey, get well, Ridge, not like a flat out break character thing, but worded in a way that McAfee could have, to where it's like, you're still on my good side. You're still there. You'll have a slice when you get back. But then also saying, but these guys, the beating they delivered kind of set me off. I thought that he was going to hang on to Ridge Holland, but they pretty much 100% were and Ridge is out of this.
See, I like what it did. Where it's Ridge Holland, you broke your ankle in 7 million pieces. I talked to the guy who got my guy, and I got his guy along with that guy to be my guy. I thought it was well delivered. And obviously now with Pete Dunne involved, we can make allusions to the first War Games whenever they beat the Undisputed Era, who I think are just hanging around NXT now to be the War Games team, which is fine. That's what the fucking Horsemen did in WCW. Every year was a fucking, until the NWO showed up, it was a fucking Horsemen in the War Games, which is fine. Some teams that's just your niche. Obviously War Games hasn't been announced yet, but I mean, I don't see a reason why they'd be setting up a 4-on-4 feud if not for that. Do
you think they have a team NXT an NXT match at Survivor Series?
Nope.
Do the 4-on-4 at Survivor Series?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Easy answer.
Because Vince is a giant snatch.
Oh.
Tell us how you really feel.
Well, so you fellas tell me.
Is he a DWS?
What's the fucking point of putting NXT over pretty much your entire roster last year, making NXT look like gold all the way around, no pun intended, only to have them not even be involved this year? Where's the fucking point? And this year, of all year, where we could get a match like Asuka versus Sasha versus Io Shirai, or a match like McIntyre versus Orton versus Finn Balor. Like, now of all fucking years, this would be a great time to insert them again, but I don't know.
You think it's flat out not good? Like, there's not going to be any NXT talent at Survivor Series?
I do not believe that.
Wow.
You might see a rogue.
What a terrible decision.
There's a chance. There's a chance you'll see a rogue 1 or 2. There's always an outside chance of that.
Why bother focusing on the future when they can focus on the past? This is The Undertaker's 30th anniversary of Survivor Series or whatever the fuck it is. They're going to make the show about fucking Undertaker. They're going to show fucking clips of the fucking Undertaker. And this is going to come off as me being bitter about The Undertaker, especially with my big rant I had about him about a month ago or whatever. You know, I appreciate the Taker for what he's done. Taker's always been a great character, and he's always been fun to watch. But I feel the exact same way about Undertaker, Steve Austin, The Rock. If you're not John Cena now, if you're not going to be around Goldberg, if you're not going to be around fucking 365, show yourself the fucking door. Don't bring him back for stupid fucking Legends nights just because you know the crowd will pop whenever they hear that glass shatter. Because all you're doing is you're putting over talent from 20 years ago.
Money.
Over guys who need it now.
It feels like a fucking eternity ago, by the way, that we had Stone Cold on at the end of the first like non-crowd Raw. You remember that? Doesn't that feel like a year and a half ago?
Money.
2020 is a hell of a drug.
Money.
It is. Well, it's funny.
They will always do that until these gentlemen are dead and gone. This will happen because, like you said, when the glass breaks, people are going to lose their shit. Steve Austin shows up for one appearance at a pay-per-view or a Raw, whatever. For the next month and a half to 2 months, his merch will be flying out of their website. Flying. He'll show up with a new Steve Austin shirt. Boom. Money. Same with The Rock. The Rock can show up. Finally, The Rock is home. I'm never leaving again. Money, money, money. Stupid shirts, stupid Brahma Bull elbow pads, everything. That's what it is.
And I mean, I think. Okay, here's a question. I know we've diverted away from NXT, but
we'll swing back around.
I know
that's the glory of this podcast. We
always do. But like the question is. And we saw it even recently with what was it, the Samoans coming back.
Alpha and Sika.
Yeah, Alpha and Sika were back. Now, to be fair, that at least had storyline context. It was appropriate for what was going on. Now, the thing is, if they had Alpha and Sika out there with Roman Reigns every single week, I don't think it would be a big deal. Now, those guys, obviously, they're legends, and you know, they deserve the accolades that they get. But it's a different kind of situation than it was for The Rock, Steve Austin, et al. That were just mentioned. What do you think the legs are on these guys? Now, again, The Rock and John Cena, because they've made themselves part of pop culture, the pop culture zeitgeist. Like, what do you think the legs are on a Stone Cold, you know, the glass shattering and him getting that massive, ridiculous pop, you know, the more that he's away? What do you think the legs are on The Rock and John Cena? Like, how many more years do they have to like cash grab, like on a guy like Mick Foley, a guy like Goldberg, you know, the Undertaker's different. He's in his own league. I mean, but like
forever.
Yeah, and that's
my answer to you, Poot.
What I mean, forever, but like it's gonna get to a point where like, because like Steve Austin he's aged incredibly well. He still looks like he could get in a ring and beat the snot out of anybody. But like it's sorry, stomp a mud hole in him. My point is, how much longer And people are already going like, okay, you guys are trying to make a cash grab. Okay, we get it. You're trying to get eyes on the product. Like, everyone's like, okay, we see through this. At what point are people going to start railing against it simply because they understand what they're doing? You know what? Because the crowd has done that. They will rail against something that objectively should be good because they know it's either being A, forced down their throats, or B, it's like as transparent as invisible saran wrap.
All right, here's my answer. And I truly, honest to God, believe this. Until they're dead. I mean, honestly, though, because even people that are just now getting into wrestling, and I think the WWE Network helps with this, because younger people who are just like, say I'm a 13, 14-year-old Ransom, and I'm just getting into wrestling now. I've seen all these guys that are in there now. I can go back to the network and rewatch all sorts of other stuff. So, like on a weekend where there's no pay-per-views, and I'm 13 or 14, I don't have a car, I can't drive, I got nothing going on, it's wintertime, I'm going to be cooped up inside. If I'm a big fan of wrestling, I'm going to go onto the network and I'm going to watch some stuff. I'm going to find Stone Cold, and I'm going to find The Rock, and I'm going to find John Cena. And those names are going to go from meaning nothing to being new, to being household, to being now I'm excited to see them come out live, because I missed all of that. I missed the entire Stone Cold era, the entire Rock era, the entire DX era. But I can go back and watch it. I can become a fan of it. And now when I get to see it live, it's amazing. Yeah, and I truly don't believe that any of those guys, with them coming back for one-off appearances once a year, once every 2 years, whatever, when the glass breaks, there's going to be money. There's going to be merch flying. Shut up. When if you smell, when Sean, when all that happens, are you ready? Dum dum dum. Forever. As long as they want to come out, it'll draw money.
I agree that it'll draw money, but there will be a certain threshold.
And as long as it's not a weekly thing where they're ramming it down people's throats like Cena and Reigns, if they're not ramming it down your throat week after week after week, I doubt you'll see the collective rebellion that you saw against John Cena and you saw against Roman Reigns. Because that was weekly. It's getting rammed down your throat. These are a surprise, one-off, one night only, show up, stunner, beer, money everywhere.
Well, and I think that the reason why that the tread is going to wear off the tires eventually is because those kids, 13, 14-year-old Ransom, running around saying, suck it and stunning his teddy bear, like they're going to see them in their prime. They're going to see them that, and then whenever they cart them out, they're going to go, oh, that this isn't what is this? And there's going to hit a threat. I feel like that's a very jaded thing, but you have to think people are getting more and more jaded in general, and they're getting more cynical, and they're not willing to buy into it. That wonderment of seeing someone, it's like, oh, this is what they did, and look at them now. Like, wow, they're an elder statesman. This is great. You're gonna be like, no, do X-Pac, do a Bronco Buster. Sean super kicks someone. Like it eventually the tread's gonna wear off those tires.
If I may.
Well, hang on. Let me just say something to Poot here real quick, and then it's all you, buddy. I agree that could possibly happen, but just trending off of what we've seen over the past, I mean, even the most recent past. Like, think of the last time Stone Cold came out, or The Rock. Well, it's been a while for The Rock, but like any of those old guys come out, it's still a huge pop. Like, it still is. So, yes, I could see the tread wearing off, but I think these tires have got a lot of life left in them. like a long time before you start to see fans go, oh, the glass just broke. Well, it's a pee break time in my night. Or, oh, it's time to go refill my drink or let the dog out. I think we're a long way away from something like that happening.
Beef, and this is really quick. I don't think it's ever going to reach that point where they become a pee break, but I think it's just going to be like, oh, that's cool, they're here.
So here's the thing. I'm going to lean on real sports again because I think that, when we talk about wrestling, we can include the theater of real sports because they intertwine so much. The Pittsburgh Steelers are a great team now. The Pittsburgh Steelers are not a great team now because they keep showing us the stuff that happened in the 70s when they were a great team then. The Steelers are a great team now because they have evolved and they're a different team. The WWE was great from 98 to 01. Best it's ever been. I'll say that. I personally don't think so, but the majority's against me, so I'm not going to rail against it. I'm not going to be that guy. You cannot. So, and I'll use another major sports analogy: Moneyball, like baseball, where you pack so much talent, so many contracts into a 4 to 5 year window that you give up 10 to 15 years of the future. That you realize, okay, we are close to getting a title now. Let's focus on now. Fuck later. That's the same boat that the WWE is in. Except for they're focusing on what made them big in 99 versus what needs to make them big in 20. I have no problem. So I think that there is a time and place for every legend. You want to roll out a couple legends on Survivor Series, have them make the rounds, have an occasional cameo, great. Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, especially with the Hall of Fame, SummerSlam, you go for it. Those are the times that I expect to see a legend and would welcome them. You want to put a guy like The Rock, Austin, Cena, Taker in a match, a high-profile match at WrestleMania, at SummerSlam, as long as they are not completely burying somebody, I'm here for it. Because I understand, like Ransom said, they draw a lot of fucking water in this town. They draw a lot of fucking money. But you have to realize, whenever USA is putting videos on Facebook of fucking Stone Cold or Kurt Angle or Brock Lesnar in their primes, saying, hey, this happened 20 years ago. What could happen this Monday night? You're not doing anybody any fucking favors. Because then you have people that are like, oh, wow, look at that guy driving a Zamboni down to the ring. I wonder what's happening. This guy who's been around since 2002 won the title again for the 14th time?
I got to get me a Rey Mysterio shirt.
I got to get me an Ultimo Dragon shirt. Like... They're not doing. That's the problem, and I get it. Again, they're thinking short term. That's what a cash grab is. It is a short term monetary trade off, where they're saying, "Hey, we need to make this legend look great, even in the face of having one of our new young talents maybe have the light ripped from them." Prime example: Heath Slater. WrestleMania 24, I want to say, or 27, I don't remember, where he was constantly getting attacked and berated by legends. I think Vader got him, Ricky Steamboat.
Yep.
Heath Slater, I think, got a raw deal of that. Because at the end of the day, I thought, oh man, he's gonna get a pretty big nothing. That's exactly what he got, a pretty big nothing.
Well, but you kind of knew there was not going to be a payoff. It was just they needed a fall guy. And Heath Slater is, what I thought was going to be the payoff for Heath Slater was when he went out and mouthed off to Brock Lesnar. I really did. Did I think that he was going to beat Brock Lesnar? No, but I thought they were at least going to like give him a program where there were a couple times he got one up on Brock, you know, ambushed him, put him in the submission hold. I don't know, hit him with a chair, like something. You know what I mean?
You know who leaned a lot on the old guys and their heyday? WCW. Yep. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hogan and his clan got infamously over all the young guys, including Goldberg, who, you know, none of us fucking can stand. But I don't think we can argue at his fucking apex was the draw in WCW.
Yep.
But also career guys like Diamond Dallas Page, who worked so fucking hard to get there and only to have his fucking, you know, light stolen. Young guys like Mysterio, like Jericho, Dean Malenko, Perry Saturn, Eddie Guerrero, the list goes on and on and on. As opposed to focusing on these on the youth, they chose to look at the past. Oh, well, here's a Flair for the Gold starring Ric Flair, who doesn't wrestle anymore, but he can still put on a great interview. Here's Sting. Yeah, he may look a little bit different, but it's still Sting. Like,
and if I may just to add to it, there's a certain point where, oh crap, I just kind of lost my train of thought. Give me 1 second. There's a point with that, and you could make the argument if you're not, what is it? If you don't learn from the past, you're doomed to repeat it. And the problem is, the more they bring these legends back, the more they bring them back, and they make them a big deal, like a Goldberg. And even though he can still go, and he's still a big deal, and it's kind of a gray area, in my opinion, you're getting to that point with Brock Lesnar. Okay? The thing is, if you bring them back and make them a bigger deal, it's just going to poison the well, because even when they go away, no one short of the very, very, very special cream of the crop, like diamonds in the rough, are going to look at and go, that's a future legend. You know what I mean? You can look, we can select a few like Adam Cole, right? I think given enough, I think Johnny Gargano, you could look at Finn Balor. Like you have these guys that are like the absolute pinnacle of the product now. But everyone else, you look at and you go like, there's not even like, you go like, oh, they're not as big of a deal as this older guy from way back when. So you're poisoning your own well.
Can I say a thing?
You may.
All right. So I think there's a time and a place for bringing back legends. I think an appearance is never a bad thing. So whether it's at a Raw or a pay-per-view, I think an appearance by a legend where they come out, maybe cut a promo, throw a stunner, drink some beers, get some sweet chin music, pull that sock out and shove it in someone's mouth. Fine. I don't have a problem with that. Honestly, I don't. And I don't care who they do it to either. Like Stone Cold Steve Austin could come out on an NXT takeover, interrupt an Undisputed Era promo, stun the entire Undisputed Era, beer everywhere, and leave. Zero problems.
Hold on. Let me pause you there for a minute. Yeah, I agree. But what if it's a year in the future? Undisputed Era gets called up in April after WrestleMania, and Stone Cold shows up the week before SummerSlam, stuns them all, beer bath, gets in Cole's face. Like, in NXT, they have, a 3-4 year track record, Undisputed Era does. On the main roster, a lot of people, because obviously a lot of people aren't watching NXT from the watch the main roster, they don't have that gravitas. They don't have that cachet. In fact, a lot of people that watch the main roster see these guys coming up from NXT, and they're like, well, who the fuck is this? I'm not invested in this person. Why should I give a shit? Then they see a guy like Stone Cold come up and beat the fuck out of them, and then they're laughing stocks. And then there's nothing. Then they're dead. That's it. That is the end of their WWE career. They may mire in the mid-card, but that's it. Sorry,
right,
go ahead. I know you were on a thought, but go ahead.
Yeah, all right, I'm going to keep going. And I don't even have a problem with that. I don't. I have zero problems. Stone Cold Steve Austin, and again, I'm coming strictly from the world of Ransom, watching the product. I'm not speaking for the podcast or any other wrestling fan. I'm speaking directly from me. And I have to think that I'm not the only one that thinks this. Might not be in the majority, but this is me. Undisputed Era could show up the Raw after WrestleMania, their debut night. Undisputed Era is here. Boom! Whatever. Wham! Glass breaks, stunners, beer. He leaves. Don't care. Don't care. I don't care about that. Like, that does nothing against Undisputed Era.
It does.
Shut up! I'm not done.
You're wrong.
You can't tell me I'm wrong. It's my opinion. You can suck the littlest dick you have in between those guttural things, but don't tell me I'm wrong this is my opinion. I told you, this is my opinion. You can't tell me I'm wrong. You can suck it. All right, so again, this is for me. It doesn't bury them in my eyes. Maybe it buries them in your eyes. Sucks to be them. If it happens, it doesn't bury them for me. They're the Undisputed Era. It's more about Stone Cold showing up for a guest appearance and less about who he's in the ring with. So I have no problem with that. I have no problem with a legend coming back and being in a match if they're putting somebody over. If John Cena comes back, or Stone Cold, Shawn Michaels, name the legend. If they come back and they have a great match, back and forth, but the newer, younger talent goes over, I have zero issues with that. None. I have no complaints. My complaint, my complaint is when a legend comes back for either a one night and buries an existing talent for no ungodly reason in a match. Actual match, I'm not saying like a guest appearance. I'm saying in an actual match. If a legend comes back and buries an existing hardworking talent, I have a problem with that. That bothers me. And the other thing that bothers me is when a legend comes back for a quick stint. So I harken back to The Rock. When The Rock came back, and I'm back and I'm never leaving again. Bullshit. Nobody bought that. He beats CM Punk for the title, holds it for 2 months, drops the belt, and goes away. That does a disservice. Even if you take the belt off of somebody and then give it back to another younger talent, it's still a legend coming back for a part-time to take the spotlight away from somebody in a storyline. That's where I take issue. But if it's a one night, a one-off, a show-up guest appearance, I honestly don't care what they do. It doesn't bother me in the slightest.
See, I think that, and I understand what you're saying, but here's the thing, man. Like, Austin coming out and giving somebody the stunner, how the hell does that help WWE in 2020? Other than a quick payday, which, again, is going to hurt them down the road. Because while I understand what you're saying, that, you know, Undisputed Era comes out night after Raw, it gets stunned, they're not hurting your eyes. That's because you've been watching them on NXT for 3.5 years. Joe Blow, and that's this is where the problem comes in. Because we're smart enough to see the forest from the tree. The problem is these mouth-breathing motherfuckers that don't. These fucking idiots that have no idea about NXT or AEW, that just watch Raw or just watch SmackDown or have, you know, watched WCW back 20 years ago, whatever the fuck ever. These mouth-breathing sons of bitches have no idea who Adam Cole is. And even after 6 months on the main roster, even if they run rampant for 6 months, but every time that they win is a shady fuck. Okay, let me give you another example. Keith Lee, right now. If Keith Lee took a rock bottom, a jackhammer, a fucking choke slam, or a Stone Cold Stunner. It would hurt Keith Lee because the WWE has done nothing to give him any sort of cachet on Raw. Nothing. He's gotten kicked in the nuts by Braun Strowman. He beat Randy Orton one time in a singles match. Congratulations. And he's won and lost a bunch of fucking DQ matches on Raw.
Okay, so all right, let's go down that rabbit hole then. So after everything that has happened to him on Raw, Stone Cold comes out and stuns him. How is he hurt more? How's he more done than he's done now?
Because then
he's not over. Nobody
these
gives a shit
fucking morons
now.
are like, oh, Stone Cold's back. Oh, he took out that guy. And then it busts Keith Lee down even lower than he at that point he's gonna be lower than the fucking Lucha House Party.
Okay, so he's in your eyes he's busted down lower. It all boils down to the booking at that point. If they, after that happens, if they book him like a house of fire, are people going to start tuning out when they see Keith Lee? Is it going to hurt WWE's ratings? Is it going to hurt their numbers? Are they going to lose money?
Let me ask you this. Again, from Ransom the Fan, not Ransom the Smart Mark on a podcast. How did you feel after CM Punk dropped the title to The Rock? And he never really got a comeuppance. He never really got anything back in his corner. It looked like maybe the winds were kind of swinging back towards him. But he had a year-long title reign-ish, a year plus, that was kind of shady. People knocked it for not having enough good defenses. And then he gets beat by Dwayne. To me, that diminishes his stock in a lot of people's eyes. Again,
see, as a fan, I was upset that The Rock came back and took the title from him. As a fan, I wanted to see CM Punk get that title back. If anything, that made me root for CM Punk even more.
See, I think
it didn't diminish him in my eyes. It made me look at him and go, "Damn, I want Punk to get that title back. He lost to stupid part-time The Rock. I want him to get the title back."
I don't think casuals think that way, though, bro.
I gotta get me a CM Punk shirt.
I gotta get me a Daniel Bryan shirt. I don't think casuals think that way because they're like, oh, it's Stone Cold. I remember him from such features as Hell in a Cell or Taboo Tuesday. Oh, it's The Rock. I remember him from WrestleMania 19 or Rock Bottom.
See, the thing though is that what WWE's doing here, I believe, is the smart play because they're going to get money from both sides of it now. They're going to get money from the casual fan who goes, oh, The Rock came back and beat CM Punk. I'm going to get the new The Rock shirt. Finally The Rock is back shirt. I'm going to get that. I'm going to buy that shirt. The casual fan is going to spend their money on that merch, and WWE is going to make money.
And what Ransom...
The super fan is going to go, CM Punk got robbed. That was bullshit. The next night when CM Punk comes out with a brand new look and a brand new shirt, they're going to go, fuck WWE. CM Punk got robbed. I'm going to buy the new CM Punk shirt. So they're going to get money from the casual fans who are excited that their old boy is back, and they're going to get money from the diehard weekly watching fans that are going to go, oh, my guy got robbed, but my guy's got new merch.
Here's the problem.
Can I toss 2 cents in here?
Real quick, Poot.
All right.
Here's the problem, Ransom, is that the end game is the problem. At some point, Steve Austin's going to be, he already fucking is. Let's not fucking lie. But at some point, these guys are going to be too broken down to even make appearances. All right. Then you don't have a group of guys like Austin, The Rock, Triple H, Undertaker. You don't have that group of guys because they never got over as big as those guys did because those guys kept coming back and stealing the spotlight. So then, even though those guys may have been willing to put the new generation over, they were never in that position because of management saying you guys are still making the money. Now, whenever it's when they're dead and gone, and these guys are the old guys coming back, assuming that some of them will come back, I bet you once fucking Randy Orton retires, he's done. He's never going to be seen again. But assuming that some of these guys are willing to come back, they don't carry that same fucking clout that, those eponymous 4 did. And that's the problem, is the end game. Yes, it's great now, but at the end of the day, 20 years from now, it's going to be a big fucking problem.
So, okay. I'm going to toss my 2 cents in here. So after the Dexter Lumis and Cameron Grimes match, there was I'm gonna actually toss my 2 cents in here. I think Ransom has a point, and yes, there is a group of fans that will buy someone's merch as a way to, in some way, retaliate against WWE, which doesn't make sense. But, and I agree, like, you're right on both counts. The smart marks will be like, The Rock's back, and they'll buy his stuff. And then, or they'll go, CM Punk lost, and I'm going to buy his stuff because fuck WWE. But there's another subsect of fans that will go, wow, they screwed up Punk. I'm going to go watch New Japan. I'm going to go, I'm done with wrestling for a while. Or they're like, I wonder if Punk has a pro wrestling tee shop. You know what I mean? Like, there's a portion of that can do it. There's many subtle levels to all this. There's not just Joe Schmo and Smark. Like, the problem is, like, that's why, like, and I understand. I guess I can understand the impetus of, like, putting the belt on Orton, but, like, you know, come on, like, he doesn't need another belt. Like, Drew could have used the rub going forward. He could have kept holding that belt. They could have kept having feuds with him with other people. Like, I mean, if this is a vehicle to, like, get the belt back on the Fiend or something, I don't know. I don't know where it's going to go, to be perfectly honest with you. But, like, the thing is, we can all safely agree, I think, that it's having the legends come back in certain situations where they make a cameo, like Michael P.S. Hayes did. Like, if there were no other legends involved, but having Ric Flair just driving the ambulance, or having Mick Foley drive the ambulance or something, that's fine. They pop up in a weird segment backstage, okay. Whatever, that's fine. Or if they did what AEW is doing, which is using them as managers and using them effectively as managers, that would be fine too. But I think having them come back and either compete or influence, like, heavily the product in a way is not good for future business.
And that's I think is where so I anymore, and this could be a fucking Jeff Martin opinion. You know, I don't know, because I realize that, like, my stance on Cody Rhodes is pretty much an exclusive me opinion. So I get that, but, like, I believe that now whenever I see guys like Cena, The Rock, Stone Cold, unless they are coming out and getting their clocks cleaned, or absolutely getting outdueled in some way, shape, or form, I believe that it is being detrimental to the talent. To the point, let's use the transitive factor. We saw HBK get one over on Randy Orton. Randy Orton beat Drew McIntyre single-handedly, no funny business, at Hell in a Cell. We can then determine that HBK is better than Drew McIntyre. But oh wait, Drew McIntyre has been cleaning out half the roster. So now we can completely derive that 75-year-old no longer has his hair or his smile, and now he's got a wayward eye. Shawn Michaels is better than most of your main event roster.
Watch your bad mouth in a Shawn Michaels. All right.
I love Shawn Michaels. I do. The dude, the treasure. He's a once in a lifetime guy. I'm making a point.
Let me counter that point here real quick and say this. If you were making that point in the days of kayfabe, I back you 100%. In the days of sports entertainment, where everybody knows that this is a male soap opera, I don't back that opinion. Because you have guys like Rey Mysterio going over guys like JBL. So in the days of kayfabe, there's no way that should have happened. JBL's enormous and could kill Rey Mysterio by flicking him in the face.
There's always been that. David and Goliath, man. Like that's biblical shit. Like that's you know, the 1980 whatever hockey team, the USA hockey team that beat the Russians and the Canadians. There's no fucking way that they should have, but they did.
Yeah, that's a completely different sport, though. You have teams. It's a completely different sport. When you're looking at a one-on-one match, you put JBL and Rey Mysterio in the octagon, and tell me that there's a chance that Rey Mysterio is going to beat JBL.
I've seen smaller guys come out the top of an octagon fight because it's all about style, man.
Smaller guys.
Yeah. It's all
guys
about
with that difference. Guys with that difference of a size. No,
I disagree.
It could happen.
Jericho took down Lesnar.
It could happen. I'm saying it. Yes, it can happen. But if you're expecting us to use this equation to derive the fact that Shawn Michaels can beat everybody on the roster because Shawn Michaels cost Randy Orton the title and then Randy Orton beat Drew McIntyre, that doesn't stand up in the realm of sports entertainment like it is now.
I don't think as many people. So we are making tacit assumptions that most of the audience knows that it's fake. Most probably. But I don't think those, so they may know it's fake, but a lot of times they don't fucking care, man. Like, there are dark parts of this country where people are pretty fucking dumb and pretty fucking ignorant, both in the sense of rude and in the sense of not educated, to where I don't know that a lot of them know or possibly care. So
I can't in all conscience say that we watched a Halloween Havoc event that had a cinematic match where a guy was running through a haunted house. Like I can't logically go down that path and go like somebody watched that and was like, oh, look at this, spooky cinematic, fun thing, or one of the Viking Raiders using the Force to draw a turkey leg to his hand, and then turn around and go, well,
yeah, but you know what?
Randy Orton beat Drew McIntyre, so that means that Shawn Michaels can beat everybody.
I can't
how
in
do you
good conscience.
That?
I can't in good conscience believe that some people think that the coronavirus is fake, that a hoax. I can't believe in good conscience that some people still think the fucking earth is flat. I cannot believe fucking chemtrails, but there are people who will absolutely fucking swear by it.
Now we learned that
their
beef
life depended on it.
We learned that Beef is one of those people that believes in the earth.
What an idiot.
I'm just saying that, like, yes, I agree with all intelligent thinking. You see that and you go, oh, clearly this is a show. But man, I really think that you are giving the audience a lot more credit than it deserves. Because I just at the end of the day, and we've been going super long on this, but at the end of the day, I don't see how Stone Cold showing up for a super cringy, super bad segment in front of 0 fans at the Performance Center helps anybody. I don't see how I see how The Rock losing to Roman Reigns at WrestleMania will help Roman Reigns. But like, in most senses, when a guy shows up, like Goldberg last year, for example, I don't understand how a guy like Goldberg going over the guy like The Fiend helps the business at all.
No, I don't. I agree. I don't think it did.
But that's the majority of how those legendary. That's the majority of how those things happen.
That was also an example of backstage politicking at its finest.
Well, yeah, but
100%.
Yeah,
but it all boils down to money.
But again, we're talking about guys like Steve Austin, The Rock, John Cena, some of the biggest money making and loyal people that WWE has ever had. You don't think they can politic their way to a win? I don't know that they would. I don't know that they would.
But they could.
But I mean, right. But the bottom line is Vince is going to go, oh, well, Edge is a perfect example. And I love Edge. He's probably an all-timer for me. Probably top 5. I don't see a scenario where Edge needs a world title again, ever. I don't see a scenario where Edge needs to be a full-time guy, ever. I don't see a scenario where Edge needs to fight any of these new guys, ever. Yeah, he can have his one-offs with Randy Orton, Christian, people from his time, all right? But when you start putting, intermingling guys like Lashley or MVP or Keith Lee or Braun Strowman, I think that you're, I think Poot said, poisoning the well.
I think if they do it right, it's good.
I don't. I don't think that Randy Orton needs this title. I don't think that Edge needs the title. I think a title run for Edge.
I'm agreeing with you on that.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm agreeing with you on that. I'm saying that if Edge came back and was even part-time, full-time, more than a Brock Lesnar was, but less than a full-time guy. If you put him in programs against, let's just say, a Finn Balor, and you program them together for a feud, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that if in the very end, the veteran who can teach puts over the younger talent. I'm fine with that. Even if it goes as far as to have you have a 3-match program with Edge and Finn Balor. And Finn gets the first one. Edge gets the second one. They close out. Last match of the program, Finn goes over clean. I don't think that does any harm. I think that elevates Finn Balor going over and showing that he can hold his own against a legend like Edge. And especially if they put him over in the end, I think that elevates Finn Balor. Finn Balor beat the rated R superstar.
I agree.
The ultimate opportunist. Come on.
But how often have we seen either WWE get cold feet halfway through that, or an injury or something else? For example, The Rock. Look at The Rock and Cena. I as I understand it, and I could be wrong, but I believe that it was supposed to be a 3-match thing. After The Rock got hurt at WrestleMania 28, he said, I can't do this anymore because no one's going to insure me for my movies. So I cannot be a physical participant in a match. And that ruined the rubber match, and thus it was 50-50 booking. 50-50 booking is 100% killing the WWE.
Agreed.
No one but the top shelf looks great, and that's the problem. And especially whenever you get your legends in there, if at best you get 50-50 booking, that's a problem. John Cena, AJ Styles was another point like this, where Cena got a couple over on Styles. Styles maybe got one, but at the end of the day, Cena won 2 or 3 matches. Styles maybe won 1. No, both guys are established, but obviously, again, AJ Styles is brand new to WWE.
Sure.
Cena was on his way out.
Yeah.
Ransom, I think in principle I understand what you're saying, and I agree with it, but the problem is that having that low-hanging fruit that tempts Vince McMahon, and we all know how fucking fickle he can be and how often his mind can change on the fucking daily.
Yep.
Having that there for him to just kind of lean on as a crutch and go, hey, you know what? Let's just roll Stone Cold out and do some stunners and, let that be the end of it. I don't think that really helps anybody. Except for a ratings boost or, getting some shirts sold.
Sure, and I can see your point. I'm not saying you have a bad point whatsoever. I'm not saying you're wrong. I see your point very clearly. But one thing that everybody, I think, has to realize is that at the end of the day, it's about money.
Mm-hmm.
And if Stone Cold showing up for one night and stunning a Keith Lee and drinking beer and leaving, if that one appearance is going to make WWE more money than Keith Lee is going to make WWE in a year, how can WWE be faulted for doing that? Because honestly, it's all about the money. If Keith Lee was printing money and they bring back Stone Cold for a one-nighter, okay, I take issue with that because you're taking a big moneymaker and potentially making him look like a fool for a quick payday. But if your quick payday is going to make you more bank than your weekly superstar is going to make you in a year, how would you pass that up?
Okay.
It's real quick to retort. It's hard to earn money when you start in the negative. Like that's how I think most of us started, in life, coming out of college, all a lot in the red. Like that's tough to get your footing on. That's the problem, is that while a guy may not be making money now, I think you're potentially hurting his ability to draw money down the line. That's my point.
I think, and I hope you guys don't, get, think anything, but like, we went so far off the rails that we went back to before they went. They were no longer invented. This is a good topic, I think, for an entire podcast on its own. And, because we do talk about like weekly wrestling and things that are going on in news and everything like that on the regular. But I think this in a bubble, like going even further back, there has to be like a flashpoint incident where this stopped being the case, because I don't remember this being a really strong theme back in, I was going to say early 2000s, but like the really early 2000s and even into the mid 90s and even further back. I mean, it's always been around where you bring back card out legends to make a buck and everything, but I think this is a deeper discussion. I just wanted to bring it back around and touch back on NXT Halloween Havoc and that the inevitable tables, ladders, and scares match that we had.
Oh my God, it was incredible, and I really enjoyed this discussion with Ransom and you, Poot. I think that was a really good kind of aside, and it's a good week because there's not a lot happening. And
you guys made excellent points. Like excellent points were put out there, and Ransom funneling it back. I think honestly, Ransom made the most salient one. What's it all about?
Money.
Yep. And that's absolutely true.
But yeah, speaking of money, Io Shirai and Candice LeRae, they are all money. Candice LeRae did a thing last night to make me. Usually when Candice LeRae is on the screen, I'm like, that was a good match, or that was an okay match, or it was passable, or sometimes I just forget that it even happened. But the last couple matches, she's facing Io Shirai, so get that. But I mean, it's last night's match was super good, well booked. I loved, by the way, that Gargano came out dressed like Jack Skellington, and she came out dressed like Sally, not dressed like, but like, with the motif. It was well done. That fucking bump at the end though, man, like that was a big girl bump.
That was a big girl scary ass bump. Like,
she walked away uninjured, right? She wasn't injured from that.
No, not that I've heard.
No reports of an injury, which is
good for her.
Mind blowing, because she Ric Flaired that bump. Real hard.
That just shows you, gents, and I'm sure Ransom may be able to start talking about this with us. But like when you're in better shape, you're in better position to fall down without dying for the next 10 weeks. If you're built like an orange, guilty, and you fall down a hill, then you're gonna be bruised all to shit and back, and you won't be able to move for 2 weeks. But whenever you're at or near your ideal weight, then you're fairly flexible. If you take a 20-foot drop through a ladder on your hip, you're going to be sore the next day, but no big deal.
Yeah, you're not going to be broken.
Testament to her. I think so. I think that the gimmick matches, the spin the wheel, make the deal matches, which I really want to fucking choke out Blackie Sharts art.
Blackie Hurt Sharts.
That's racist.
For saying. Yeah, right. For saying spin the wheel, make a deal 2 weeks ago. I was like, no, Shots, you had one job. Spin the wheel, make the deal matches last night were very violent, but in the perfect way.
I heard someone pouring something.
What? Oh, yes.
I heard
or peeing. or he's peeing, whatever.
No, filling a water bottle.
Oh, okay.
With wine?
The main event was outstanding. I think those two ladies did themselves well, and it was a nice blow off to their feud. But now the question becomes,
who?
What the hell can Candice do?
Well, I mean,
just it's a good question.
Well, I mean, they can keep things going with the Gargano way. They can keep things going. She can kind of just support Johnny for the interim. There's always room to build back up someone like Candice LeRae. I understand, Beef, that you are very, whenever Candice is in a match, you're very middle of the road with her. Very like, meh, okay. But like, she's good. And especially when you pair her with someone who is better than her, she adapts and has a really good symbiotic relationship with them to where they can put on a really good match. I think there is always a market for someone like Candice LeRae, especially whenever she is doing her heel thing. She seems far more comfortable as a heel than she does as a squishy, cuddly baby face. Like,
really?
That's true.
I do.
Really?
I do.
I see that.
I do.
Man.
I like her better as a heel, but I think it's because the good, squishy, happy girl going bad. That's a nice thing.
Okay.
But like,
there we go.
But
Trigger's
no,
little poot, huh?
Not what?
I said Trigger's little poot, huh?
Oh man, Kink City. Anyway, the it's the fact that like, because she was that and then she turned it around, and she also has someone that she knows, very intimately to play off of. And I think that makes her feel more comfortable in that role. And also, I mean, my God, she has people like that she can sit under the learning tree of how to be a heel. Someone like Tommaso Ciampa. I'm sure if she could talk to Adam Cole, she could talk to Rhea Ripley, she could talk to these people and go, how do I be a better heel? And just absorb. And I think
definitely.
she's doing great work as a heel, and I think she's really falling into it. And there's always room for a good, bitchy heel, like there always is.
I have a tough time buying the Garganos as heel because I know, like, that they are good people. Like they show all these pictures of Candice with like Dakota Kai and oh gosh, what's her name? Oh jeez. Poot, help me. Fucking knee injury. Why am I spacing on her? Captain Marvel logo.
Fuck. If you wouldn't have said anything, I would have known.
Damn it. Anyway, they show all these pictures of them. They show all these pictures of them together, like out in the road, and it's like, okay.
Yeah, but Beef, I don't mean to interrupt you, but like that's like, honestly, dude, that you got to leave that away. Like that's why, like.
Yeah, but they showed on programming though. Like they've brought it up very recently. Whenever Candice LeRae was trying to recruit the aforementioned chick who I just can't. Tegan Knox. My God.
Knox.
Tegan Knox when he was trying to recruit her to like the dark side, they were showing pictures like of them, recently, and it's just like, I don't know, man. And like Gargano, I know it's tough. All I'm saying is it's tough for me to buy them as heels because, especially on the indies, they never were. They were always like, the good, the good guys. So
I think that's a testament to their versatility, that so many people can buy them as a heel character.
That's fair.
When in reality, they're nothing like they portray on TV. They're nice people in real life. They're, very down to earth, very friendly people. I think that's a testament to their ability to be able to play that heel character.
Agreed. And it also extends to even people that are really good, pardon the pun, stone cold killers, like Aleister Black. When he first came around, he had all that, he had a lot of the alchemist and satanic imagery on his ring gear, his ring music before the new it's Aleister Black. Like before that, like that still bothers the hell out of me. But like But the thing is, when you hear him in interviews, he is like the sweetest man in the entire universe. And when you see him and Zelina Vega together, like I watch Sheamus's YouTube channel, Celtic Warrior Workouts, and they did a thing together where they talked about their kickboxing routine that they use to keep themselves in shape. And they're just like the sweetest like couple ever. Like they're like the nicest people in the entire universe. And like whenever Aleister Black came out, I still just go like, well, man, he's going to murder someone. He's absolutely going to kill someone. But but I can separate that. I can understand why you have that problem with the Garganos, because that's what you've known them as. But like, I like it because it's like a good guy that's finally gone bad. And he's going, the impetus is there, but he's going like kind of like he's a nerdy guy who decided to be evil, kind of like Butters and Professor Chaos. You know what I mean? It's kind of like that. It's endearing.
Chaos.
But Professor Chaos. Like it's kind of endearing, but it's also slowly becoming more and more believable.
Yeah, I agree. My question is that who is going to be the one that takes this belt off of Io Shirai?
Rhea.
Think that's happening?
Yep.
Maybe.
Is that going to be a WrestleMania takeover blow off, or is that going to happen sooner?
Rumble? Survivor Series?
Maybe Ember Moon. Ember Moon seems to be gaining quite a bit of traction. But like I said, man, I really feel like they got to strike with Rhea while the money's hot, because I think the Vince is absolutely salivating over having her on the main roster. And as we've seen, whatever Vinny wants, Vinny gets. And Rhea, Vinny wants you.
Please don't sing.
So is it going to be better, though?
Get bent.
If they
I'm a straight singer.
Okay.
You fucking jerk. Sorry, go ahead, Ransom.
Definitely an argument for another night. Is it better to strike now and have Rhea Ripley beat Io Shirai, hold that title for a cup of coffee, and then get called up? Or is it better if she doesn't win it at all? Because let's face it, when Vince says that he's pulling the trigger on that, if that's a week, a month after Rhea Ripley wins that title, if there's not time for her to be programmed to lose that title to somebody, it's going to be one of those Asuka situations where they come out, she's leaving, she relinquishes the belt. Was it really worth it?
Or Keith Lee, where they have an unbelievably short title reign, and you're like, huh, all right.
Yeah, is that going to be something that's going to be worth it? Or is it going to be better to say, okay, it would be great if she had the title, but if she's not going to have the chance to have a decent title run, let's just keep the title off of her because she's going to be called up soon. Let's program Io Shirai in with somebody who is going to hold that belt for a decent amount of time after they beat her.
It's a good-looking question.
I think I would love to see Rhea Ripley have it and have a decent title run. But if she's going to be going to the main roster soon, I don't want her title run as the NXT Women's Champion to be like an afterthought.
Let me pose this then to you. What if, because we saw them cooperate and commiserate a bit, what if we saw Ember Moon supporting Rhea Ripley in the coming weeks/months? And then when she does win the belt, have Ember Moon turn on her, have that program run for a little bit, and have Ember Moon take the belt.
I think that'd be acceptable. Let's not forget that NXT likes to have their little pantheon of, two-time title holders or, longest title holder, things like that. So, I believe right now Charlotte's the only two-time NXT Women's Champion. I could be wrong, but Shayna. So, right now it's Shayna and Charlotte Flair. Having Rhea in that conversation, I think, would be worth it. Even if it's a short reign, I think, honestly, yeah. But at the end of the day, the money's in the chase. It's about their rise to the title and having time to put the rise to the title. And I think that's where they fucked up on Keith Lee. Keith Lee had a wonderful, perfectly timed rise to the North American title. And then they're like, fuck, we're losing Keith Lee. We have to get this guy a title now. And after 2 weeks, it's like, oh, surprise, Keith Lee's going to be champion. So I think you need the proper time to have a proper build. Honestly, and this is going to sound a little hypocritical, of some of the other things I've said, but the reign isn't necessarily the most important thing as it is the rise and the win. I think if the rise to the title and the win of the title is a big fucking deal, then you could have a 2-week reign and it wouldn't mean shit. It wouldn't be a big deal is what I'm saying.
That's interesting.
All right, let me ask the other question. Who is Ghostface Killer?
I strongly feel like it's Ciampa. I could be wrong, but I don't know who else it would be.
I want to.
But they've kind of done Ciampa versus Gargano to death, so I don't know.
Yeah, but he helped. I'm trying to figure out who it would be because I looked and I went, that's not really Ciampa's build. And they'd have to hide that massive mog of a beard that he has going on.
Well, but the ghost face is kind of an elongated oblong.
Yeah, but it's thin though. You would have seen. I don't know. It just seemed not Ciampa-y. I was trying to surmise who it would be, and I just can't.
It could well be what's her name that's been helping Candace. I'm so bad at the names tonight. But the girl who's kind of been interning with Candace. So that could be her, but I don't know. I don't know. Who else? It's not Dream.
No.
It may not be Ciampa. It's not Cross. It's not Balor. It's not.
Balor would be interesting.
It's not Ozilla. It's not Loomis. It's not Cameron Grimes. So that's most of your talent pool, unless it's somebody that hasn't been on TV for a while, or somebody that's coming back from the main roster, or somebody new.
Dolph Ziggler.
Dolph.
I'd love it if it was Dolph Ziggler. It's Kevin Owens, except he lost a lot of weight.
I thought that they would reveal it last night, being with the spoopiness and all that. Maybe not. Apparently they're going to keep it going, so we'll see. But it was top to bottom a great show.
Yeah,
I think AEW had its moments last night too. I think Penta versus Kenny was very entertaining.
Yeah.
No, you didn't. You weren't a fan?
Which is no, it wasn't that I wasn't a fan. It was just that. You know what? No, that was just kind of me like being gun shy. It delivered better than I thought. And you guys know how much of a Pentagon fan I am.
Right.
Yeah.
I would have loved for Pentagon to have taken a fast loss to Omega to keep the Omega steam train rolling. The cleaner thing going. Now, I'm not saying Sunny Kiss 23 seconds. I'm saying like 2-3 minutes, 4 minutes, maybe. Like, make it a cleanup. And I know Pentagon's on a different level, and I'm not trying to put anyone or bury anyone or say they should bury Pentagon. They shouldn't do that. I just feel like it would have behooved, and plus it would have also made Hangman look even stronger if he put up an actual fight against Omega. You know what I mean? Like it, because Pentagon is heralded as one of like the journeyman greats right now. Like him and his brother, like, you know, and they're doing great work in this family thing they have going on. But I would have just liked to see a quicker or more out of nowhere victory with Omega. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean, I think, and again, I love AEW. I really do, because it's clear by my, you know, our conversation there earlier that I have a lot of problems with what WWE does, and I have a lot of problems with how they're treating the NXT guys when they call them up. You know, it's like they're having a fucking piss, but you know, I will harp on it as long as I can. I think that AEW is very telegraphed. When they put together this tournament, I didn't know the participants except for Kenny and Hangman, and I said, oh, the finals are going to be Kenny and Hangman. I didn't need to know that they're going to be on separate sides of the bracket. I didn't need to know who the other 6 people were. I just needed to know that Kenny and Hangman run it.
Well, you want to know the problem with that? And, you know, no offense to some of the people that are in it. The only other believable people to me that could have made it were Wardlow and Pentagon.
I think Phoenix.
Not taking away from Phoenix, but like, you know, this was basically tailor-made to get Hangman up there. So I didn't even say, okay, Hangman's not going to be one of them. And for me, it was Omega, Pentagon, and Wardlow. Those are the 3 that I was like, okay, it has to be one of them, because the other ones are just kind of there for quarterfinals fodder.
Yep, you're not wrong. And again, I'm not saying that it's a problem. Again, if you can have interesting booking, if you can have fun segments, and if you can have good matches, fuck it. You know, I don't care if I can tell you who your world title is going to be 6 months from now, or your world champion is going to be 6 months from now. If you can make it entertaining, I'm here for it. And I'm, you know, so far this tournament has been great. And I know that Kenny and Hangman are going to deliver. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Sure. You know, I wasn't a big fan of the town hall. Apparently, other people were.
I thought it was fun.
I think AEW gets a little too influenced sometimes by like the outside world, but that's okay, because I'd rather have somebody be too in touch with what's happening in the real world than completely out of touch with the real world.
True.
So, you know, I'll take, you know, that versus what we get with Vince 100%. But I don't know, man. Like, Jericho's great. Max is great. I like Eazy-E. You know, I liked the little, you know, Tony pulling the Biden. Will you shut up? Shut up, Chris Jericho. I thought that was well timed.
Mr. Jericho, shut up! And Jericho's reaction looking like a punished child.
Right. Yeah. I thought that played well. I thought Wardlow versus Hangman was perfectly serviceable. Wardlow took 2 of the clotheslines. The
buckshot lariat.
Thank you. The buckshot lariat. So I mean that makes him look good. So yeah, it was good. I don't think it was great, but it was good. Dynamite. But I think and next week kind of a throwaway show because they're kind of giving us the hey, these matches probably could be on Full Gear, but not quite. Matches like Shawn Spears and Scorpio Sky, and then the Inner Circle, not Proud and Powerful, but like Ortiz and Sammy Guevara versus Max and Wardlow. So I mean, like it's like a preview of Full Gear.
So really quick, because we are going pretty long.
Oh boy.
Let me ask you this question about AEW. They made a big kind of to-do about Shawn Spears coming out and being 14-1 or 14-2.
Yeah.
In his AEW record. Now, to be fair, they've been just shoveling. What?
That's the 2020 record.
Yeah, the 2020 record. They've been shoveling jobbers at him, to be fair. But here's my thing. At what point, if they're going to make this a thing with Shawn Spears, when do they have to pull the trigger on him before rankings don't matter anymore?
Well, he's not going to beat Scorpio Sky next week. No, I think Scorpio Sky is a bit. So, year 2 AEW, I think Scorpio Sky is going to get a look. I think that we're going to see more involvement of Wardlow. I think that those 2 guys are going to be standouts a year 2. You're right though. Like they've basically built up Shawn Spears to be a fall guy, and I love Shawn Spears. And that's you know what though. Like sometimes that's okay. Sometimes it's okay to be the guy who has a great record only to get beaten to make somebody else look good. Like sometimes that's a good niche to fill.
Well, and that's fine. And also he's very obviously he has his school, his wrestling school. Like Spears. That he's running, like so. I mean, but he said on the record in interviews that he has like maybe 5 more years in him. Like
that's interesting.
Yeah, which is really kind of weird. I think he said either 5 or 6, and I'm like, and I think it's because he likes teaching, and he likes being home. You know what I mean? Which is fine.
Can't blame him for that.
No, not one bit. But like, it's more the fact of like, I'd like to see him at least get one push before he's relegated to legit guy who's there to, or legit guy who's there to legitimize new guys. I'd like to see it. I like Shawn Spears a lot.
Agreed. But I'd rather them take their time with him and build him up as an actual contender as opposed to Moxley fodder.
Yeah.
That's my other problem with AEW this year is that like they've built up some great heels like Brody Lee, like Eddie Kingston, like Brian Cage, like Lance Archer, just to be foils to Jon Moxley. And again, I get it. Somebody's got to lose those matches. I understand that. And I love Jon Moxley. I think that he's a perfect face for AEW right now. And at the end of the day, I think when Kenny Omega beats him as a heel, I think it's going to be even better because of it. But at the same time, again, we're creating quite the pantheon of great guys who Moxley has basically beaten without too much of a question. I'm really, really, really hoping with every bit of my fiber of my being that they pull the trigger with Eddie Kingston. Even if it's for a week, I don't care. But I really want Eddie Kingston to beat Jon Moxley at Full Gear.
Oh my!
I'd like to see Eddie Kingston fall into the role of a guy who wins the belt, but only on very rare occasions defends it. And when he does, it's like a big deal. You know what I mean?
Like a Brock Lesnar.
Yeah. Like, I mean, he wrestles in AEW. Like, he does. Like, they had his record and everything. Like, it you know. But, like, have him be on the belt. Have him be on the program all the time. But have him and his cabal of people he's built up do his bidding for him so that whenever he does come down off his throne, it matters. And when someone does try and decide to take on the Mad King, it matters. You know what I mean? Like, and it's a big to do.
Hey, real quick, guess who lost their first name?
Who's that?
Riddle.
What?
Yep. Riddle me this. How long until he comes out in spandex wearing green spandex wearing question marks on them?
Are you fucking joking? They're not calling him Matt Riddle.
No, sir. His name is Riddle.
I don't understand the almost pornographic-like obsession with Vince and him stripping these established NXT guys of their first names. First and middle. Andrade. Or
Cesaro,
name, I guess.
Cesaro, Rusev.
Not only NXT, Matt Riddle was a fucking MMA guy, like with the name Matt Riddle.
I don't understand it. Why?
How much you want to bet that if Walter ever comes to the main roster, he gets a last name?
Wait, what?
I said, how much you want to bet that if Walter ever gets to the main roster, he's going to get a last name just to fuck with us?
Yeah, no, I would be I'm not going to say shocked. I would be surprised if he kept that name.
Who, Walter?
Yeah, I could see them doing something completely different. He shows up on the main roster and he has a completely different name. Yep. Not a first and last name now. Just the Walter name is gone. It's something different.
Walter's Y-hander.
Yep.
Yeah, something goofy.
Walter,
I can see
Walter
it.
Gruber smooching. Yep.
Yeah, I can see them completely getting rid of that name whatsoever and calling him something. Here is Clarence.
Wait, I'm sorry, you sold me on it. Clarence.
No, stop that.
It would not surprise me whatsoever. That would be the goofiest thing ever, to give him a completely different name. But I don't think WWE is above doing that.
You guys want to do a Stump the Chumps here?
Stump the Champs. And also, I want to ask, where did you hear this news that he's now just Riddle?
I think it's on the WWE roster page. He just had his first name removed. Hold on, let me forward to you. There you go.
How stupid.
Yep. So, yeah, let's.
I can't wait for him to be the Joker, or be the Riddler.
Oh God.
Yep. That'd be great. So, let's see if we can get stumped by the Maniac this week, shall we?
Damn it.
Who you'll probably get this one, Ransom. This sounds like right up your alley.
Is it a WCW question?
No, but it is an old ass WWE. Well, it's from the Attitude Era, so Ransom knows his Attitude Era. Who main evented and won the first ever WWF Insurrection? So who was in the main event and who won it?
That wasn't Insurrection a foreign pay-per-view?
Yeah, it's England. Yep. I want to say Triple H Austin, but I'm not 100% on that.
First one. The first one?
Yeah.
I think it was Triple H.
The first one would have been in.
Now, hold on. Good.
The first one would have been in 2000.
That sounds right. And that was like right at that Triple H Austin time frame, if I'm remembering my timelines correctly.
I want to say it was The Rock. I want to say it was Triple H Rock.
Hang on now. Let me think. WWF Insurrection. I'm trying to think of the title or the marquee or the
logo,
like the poster of it.
I think it was Triple H on there. I'm fairly certain it was Triple H on there. That's why I'm saying Triple H.
Yeah, Triple H was in it. And Poot's right, The Rock was in it. There was a third man, though. It was a triple threat. The main event was definitely a triple threat.
Was it Kane?
No.
That sounds pretty goofy, though.
Wait. It was so we're saying Rock and Triple H, right?
Is he asking for the winner or just the...
So who was in... The specific question was, who was in the main event? Who main evented the first ever WWF Insurrection and who won?
When Ransom said it was a triple threat, why is Shane McMahon coming to mind?
That's it.
Is it really?
Yep, because the title, the poster of it was the three of them and Big Ben in the background, like falling over.
What a goofy fucking thing.
So we're going with McMahon, Shane, Triple H, Rock. Who won? Was it Triple H?
Rock.
Maybe The Rock, because, first ever foreign event, well, not first ever foreign event, obviously, but first ever, one of the big foreign televised events for the first time. You'd think they would want to send the fans home happy, and that would have been The Rock.
But this was also...
Yeah.
This was also before the Golden Shovel era.
Yes. That is
it was way before that. Yeah, because Triple H had Steph, which was a heel. Shane had Vince, and that was a heel. So The Rock was the face. The Rock was the champ going in, and I believe The Rock won.
All right, so we're saying Triple H versus The Rock versus Shane McMahon, with The Rock walking out as WWF champion, right?
Sounds good.
Yep.
As much as I hate you getting these right, I appreciate the historic knowledge and bow to the champs. The answer is The Rock defeated Triple H and Shane McMahon to retain his WWF championship.
Yeah, look at us.
Nailed it.
I do love an Insurrection pay-per-view.
This is big brain time.
I think there were three. I think there were three, but they weren't like back-to-back-to-back years. I think it was 2000 and maybe 2001 or 2002, and then the next one was like 05 or 06, if I'm wrong, if I'm thinking correctly.
Yeah, there might have been four of them. 2001, 2002.
Am I the only one who's super hyped that we got another one?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, it's just second nature at this point. We expect to get them so much that we're calling it Stump the Champs. So.
Yeah, if there is anybody else that listens to this show other than the Maniac, there's somebody has got to be able to come up with something.
I stand corrected. There were 4 years back to back. 2000, 01, 02, and 03.
Oh, okay.
All in May or June.
Huh.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
Hey, Maniac, let me try and channel my inner MJF.
That was the worst statement.
Let me try and channel my inner MJF. Maniac, hey, little guy, you did so well. That was a great question. Really good, strong question from you, Maniac. And you did your best. You really did.
Let's do this.
Let's try to heal it up.
Let's do this. Maniac, if you can get one by us, we'll give you another slot as a guest appearance on the show.
Oh, shit. Now, if you're going to lay out that challenge, the next one we get is going to be a humdinger.
Let him bring it, man. I'm feeling it, man.
It's going to be an off-the-wall, obscure question. Like, who...
It's going to be
the Gold Dust
Tree
ring crew for the May 4th episode of Raw in 1996.
Paul Fleisch.
I don't know, George Strait?
Listen, man.
George Strait.
You got the
Riddle.
fucking Attitude Era on lock. You have WCW Classic on lock. I got a lot of like the New Generation and like the Ruthless Aggression Era on lock. I know ECW. Poot is a veritable wealth of knowledge about weird fucking shit that none of the rest of us know.
Ooh, ECW is one that I'm not super great at.
That one is more in my wheelhouse.
At this point, I'm telling you, and again, I'll lay it out for the Maniac, because we know the Maniac and he knows us and he's been on the show before. Maniac, if you can stump us, we will give you another slot as a guest a commentator on the show. So bring that heat, boy, because you know that we're ready for it.
I'll go one further.
Oh, boy.
Oh, damn.
I'll go one further.
Oh, no, don't.
We record this podcast either starting at 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. on Thursday nights, depending on when Beef gets off work. If there's anybody that listens to this show that can send in a Stump the Champs question, I'll have somebody that I don't even know on this show.
Oh, shit.
It could be random listener number 4 that has never commented on beans of ours that I don't even know listens to the show. If you can stump the champs and you want to be on the show, fair enough. I say bring it on.
The gauntlet's been thrown.
The
I don't have a
gauntlet
problem
is
with that.
down.
Obviously,
Spin the
you
wheel,
know,
make a deal.
obviously we have our discretion. If you're just gonna come on and GD bomb and MF bomb, then we're gonna have an issue. But you know,
That's why we don't do
it's
these
recorded.
live.
It's easy to edit out.
yeah. So you know, if I agree with Ransom, if you want to take a shot at joining this dumb fest on a Thursday night, send us those Stump the Champs. You stump us, we'll get you on.
There we go.
So, so then you and the Maniac would be able to hear you.
Hey, quick shout out to the boys over at Armbar Audio. Just recently started talking with those two in a content creator group with them now. So I'm gonna try to get our name out there with some of the other peeps who are doing some business around the way. But yeah, they scoped us and they apparently dug us. So I can't wait to get some of their stuff and listening to them. They've done some big interviews before, so excited to check them out. But yeah, shout out to those boys over there.
Excellent. That's great.
Man.
Beef making social media moves. Our social media guru. I'm the editor.
Who take us to Chipotle?
You want me to take you to Chipotle?
Yes.
Here we go. Ready? I want to thank the boys here on the P3 podcast for a really spirited episode. This was really great and had a lot of fun. I want to thank all you folks for listening, and I want to thank our lovely sponsors. Number one, Mr. Tiger.
The
Uppercut.
Bomb,
Oh.
Tom, and his
Screwed
page
that up.
Casual Gaming Dad over on Facebook. We really appreciate him, and we always have a blast on Tuesdays. He streams Among Us, and we've been playing some of that with him, and it's an absolute blast. And you can also check out our Breaking Kayfabe that we did just last week of us playing Among Us. It was an absolute blast. But
We need
yeah,
to do that again on another slow wrestling week. We need to figure out a Breaking Kayfabe Thursday and just do Among Us. That was phenomenal.
That was a lot of fun. And I want to, again, thank Casual Gaming Dad over on Facebook. Check him out, Casual Gaming Dad on Facebook and his Casual Gaming Dad Corner. Also on Twitch and YouTube, you check out Casual Gaming Dad 84. Also, make sure you check out his merch page over on Gould Gaming. Just search for Casual Gaming Dad, where you can buy a lot of excellent Casual Gaming Dad related merch and sundries and goods. And you can also get your own P3 podcast t-shirt of your very own.
Listen, if there are people that listen to the show, we need you to buy those because we need to start raising some money to get Poot a dedicated computer that he can use to record these.
Or maybe just an apartment out of Clearfield. Oh,
Yeah, let's get some fundraising going here. Let's sell some t-shirts and let's get some high quality
H2O.
Just whenever I thought I couldn't feel more emasculated today. We also want to thank our other sponsor, Mr. Sean Tischler and his work with IWC in Clearfield. Folks, we can't stress it enough. Please go check out your local independent wrestling promotion. You are probably going to see the future stars of the business at those shows. Please go and support your local independent wrestling shows. You will not be disappointed. It's a fun atmosphere and absolutely fun, like down to earth, like in your face wrestling. It is a blast.
Hey, Poot, you know what else people should do?
What?
Go vote.
Oh, yes. Go vote. Please, for the love of God. Please go vote. I'm
not being political. Just go vote. Get your voice out there.
Whatever your voice. Well, that's the thing. Whatever your voice is, get it out there and go vote. Okay, it's very important. Also,
can we all take some pictures of our "I voted" sticker and put them on Facebook? Like, hey, I voted. Look at my sticker pictures.
Anyway, also do me a favor and over on Anchor or Spotify, those are the two biggest ones you can find us on right now. I started another podcast with my buddy Matt from college. It's called the Tone Bros Podcast, and myself and Matt are big guitar gear nerds and musicians and music aficionados and fans, and we talk a lot about guitar equipment, bass equipment. We talk a lot about like music that we appreciate, music that we might not know about. Go check us out. We're the Tone Bros Podcast, and you can find us on Facebook as well at facebook.com/Tone Bros Podcast. You can also check out this podcast on Google Podcasts, on Spotify, on Apple iTunes podcast section. You can find us on Anchor. Pretty much anywhere you can find your favorite way of listening to things and putting them in your ear holes is where you can find the P3 podcast. For Mr. Beef
the big leagues being on iTunes. Finally got there.
Yeah, man.
By the way, are you plugging the P3 podcast on your other treacherous podcast?
As a matter of fact, I am.
All right, that's fine. I'm gonna verify that statement. And if you're not, best not be plugging your other show on this one if you're not plugging this one on the other one.
I plug it on there. I say I'm Poot the Bard on P3 Podcast as well and everything like that. So
all right.
Go ahead.
No freeloaders here, except for Beef. He's the freeloader.
Well, you're right. I'm loading free, yeah. Hey, thank you very much for Mr. Beef the Legend, our glorious former champion, Mr. Tiger.
Me.
Uppercut, Bomb Tom, and myself, Poot the Bard, baby, and your reigning.
That's right.
Defending.
Eat it up, Beef.
Undisputed.
Drink it
Cruiserweight champion, the Mad Champ, Alec Ransom. Have a good night.
Copyright.
Choose me?